All right, so you're ready to record your first podcast. Do you have a microphone? Who's going to distribute for you? Do you have a studio? What about the editing? All right, everyone relax because I think I have the answer. Anchor app. Yeah, Anchor. It's free. They distribute Spotify, Apple, many more. There's creation tools that allow you to edit and create your podcast from your phone, your laptop, or your personal computer. And the best thing of all, girl, you can make money no matter how many listeners you have. So the answer is simple. Get Anchor. Anchor FM app. Go find it now. Tell them A Seat at the Table sent you. Today's episode of A Seat at the Table podcast is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Thank you for tuning in for an all-new episode of A Seat at the Table podcast. I am your host with the most, Gail. Thank you guys for tuning in, and if you are a return listener, thank you so much for taking the time. It's never lost on me that you would take time out of your schedule to listen to this little podcast engine that could. If you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for tuning in. Just keep in mind that today's episode is going to be a little bit different than what we are used to. We often take the time on this podcast to discuss social and current and pop culture and events and, laugh about it and, wax poetic about how celebrities are just like us and, the irony of it all and how we can just take all these kind of mundane everyday situations that happen to us and inject a dose of mindfulness and consciousness, which allows us to just experience life on a different vibration. But if you've been tuned in to the news this week, you know that this time I would love to tell you that this time is unlike any time that we've ever experienced before. But, as an African American Caribbean girl in the United States, I can tell you that this isn't a time that doesn't look like another time in the history of being Black in this country. So, like many of you, I too have been bombarded by, what plays out in our news. And, we're going to go in depth into that. And I definitely want to be here to provide a source of comedy and of love and of acceptance and I hate the word tolerance because for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. So wherever you talk about certain things existing in terms of something like tolerance, if tolerance exists, just know that you're also making a place for intolerance to exist. So for me, talking about our current state is beyond the measure of tolerance. It's really more, how do I use this platform to not only shine a light on different things that you may or may not know, but to also be solution oriented as much as we can. And how do you kind of maneuver through this time without being bogged down? I've gotten to the point, to be quite honest with you, that I haven't really been engaging in social media per se. I've been kind of reluctant to just, I don't know. I've been engaging in social media, but definitely on my own terms. So I've been engaging a lot in Twitter. I have been engaging a lot in Facebook and just writing, certain messages that I know will reach family members and friends. But I've been trying to stay away from the idea that, I've been trying to stay away from the idea that I need to see everything and I need to be immersed in every every new minute when there is a new news story that I somehow need to be immersed in it. Even as far as like the content of like getting ready for work in the morning, I have been trying to not get ready and take in the idea of, and take in the whole idea of being like watching the news and taking that energy with me as I go along my day. But it's hard to ignore what's been happening. So for many of us, first of all, you know, because before we get into this, excuse my manners, if you will. Why don't we light a blunt? Because that always helps us. You know what, honey? A little chocolate, a little brownie for my brownies, eh? Now, I'm trying a new strain. Shout out to the homie, the plug. Shout out to my dear niece, who is the plug for me more often than she probably should be. But she hooked me up with her Connect because, any of you have like, okay, before we get into everything, let's just get into some things, right? So I have a weed man, and this nigga, he is less than reliable 80% of the time. Okay. So when I text him, I gotta wait. And I consider him an essential worker, somebody who is pivotal to the operation of my everyday life even. But unfortunately, he don't consider himself an essential worker. So a lot of times when I call on him, he is, doing his own thing. He don't deliver. He don't give discounts, but he does accept Cash App. So you got to take your wins wherever you could get them, right? My weed guy, I texted him last night after hanging out with my baby. And this Negro was like, who is this? Now, first of all, I haven't changed my number. So what you mean, who is this? Who is this? Any which way, he answers me back 3 hours later and is like, oh, hey, girl, yeah, you could cop. Nigga, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm not coming to cop now. So then I text him this morning like, hey, Mr. Weed Man, gonna come see you today. I ain't heard from him since, y'all. It's finna be 1:00 in the afternoon. I don't know what time my weed man get up. I don't know. But clearly, it ain't early. Okay? So, I am now relying on the kindness of young people to show me the way. We've talked about this before. You getting old when you have to depend on the youngest set to hook you up on where to go, what to do, how to get connected. When you start having to rely on people who are younger than you to see your way through, bitch, you getting old. So, okay, fine, I'm getting old. Any which way. So my niece hooked me up with a bag of Skittles. So I'll let y'all know. The verdict's still out on me giving, like, what's the tea with this strain, but I'll let you know. Outside of that, how are you doing, baby? How are you? I want you to know that not enough people have told you this week, but I just adore you and I love you, and I enjoy this time that we spend together, and I just enjoy our exchange. I love the fact that we get to chill and just, we're going to make it super light today, but we are going to talk about what's going on. But the angle that we're going to touch on is perhaps an angle that, and we'll touch on different parts of what's been going on, but I definitely want to dive into specifically, just, how it's been affecting you, like how have you been dealing with even the idea of, hey, I feel unsure or I'm not okay. I want you to know that this is a safe place, and it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to maybe not know what the answers are. And we're back because of technical difficulties, my nigga. But what I was saying to you is that I want you to know that this is definitely a place where you can feel unashamed about not knowing what the answers are or how you will contribute or what you need to do. We're not here to solve the world's problems. Listen, I need to tell you, I'm a podcaster. I don't know about you. I'm a podcaster. I'm a go-getter. I'm a Christian. I am a Christian bitch. And, I might not know all the answers. I don't know, but I think it's so healthy for us to just have an outlet to just be able to talk about the fact that we don't know. You know what I mean? Just to be able to say, you know what? I'm lost. This is a safe place for you to do that. I don't want you to feel judged. I want you to know that if I don't know the answer and you do, don't be hesitant to let me know what's tea. If you don't know the answer and I do, I'm definitely going to share that with you. We are here to help each other, not browbeat each other over what we do or don't know, not browbeat each other about what it is that we feel that the next man needs to do. This is a time that, although this is a repeat cycle in this country and a repeat cycle for African Americans by and large, just know that even though that is the case, no one really knows how to deal with this. No one really knows what the right answer is, So here we all are. So at any rate, we were in the middle of talking about just how you've been and what you've been up to this week. And, if you live in the New York tri-state area, you will notice that the Band-Aid over the wound of COVID is slowly being lifted off, much to the chagrin of people like myself, because I'm afraid, I'm afraid mostly because, I don't know what's to come of this state when we open back up, What is normal? I'm not sure. But what I do know is that if I want to take care of me and by proxy take care of you, then there are certain measures that I have to take in order to allow that to happen. We've got a social distance. Can I tell y'all? Okay. So I'm online, right? I'm online yesterday at a restaurant. So I don't know if I told y'all this, but I have been back at work, and the work situation, like, my job by and large is probably doing some illegal shit by having us back this early, because the state is not open and we're not mandated to be working in the way that we have been working. And so not only is that happening, but when I am at work, we do not receive lunch breaks. We work literally 9 hours and probably are only actually being paid for 6 of those hours. We're making the organization tons of money and they don't give a fuck. But nonetheless, it's even when you talk about what work is like, I want you guys to know something. Just because 30 million people in this country are currently filed for unemployment, and just because the African American rate of unemployment at this point is almost twice as high as that of white people in this country currently, the idea that you should be thankful for being at a shit ass job is never going to be okay. I don't give a fuck if it's COVID going on. I don't care what's going on. Never accept the idea that because provision is being given to you in exchange for you working, you should somehow be okay with accepting what is subpar human level of treatment. And that's a message for myself. My boss said to one of my coworkers, you should just be happy that you have a place to come back to. And I thought to myself,